And now one needle into forward working position opposite the carriage, and of course the latch has to be open. This completes the heel, and let me just widen out and show the shape that was created by doing that. If I take the weights off, you can see the heel of the sock sticking out here. So what I'm going to do is put weights on that, I think 3 weights, so I can get all the way across. And then I have to do some additional rows so that the foot is long enough. I need to do 23 rows for the foot. Some of the length of the foot goes here, but then I need 23 more rows so that the foot will fit. And I've made a mistake and dropped a stitch. Let me just pick it up, and I will knit my 23 rows. Once I have knitted the 23 rows, I'm going to short row for the toe in exactly the same fashion that I short rowed for the heel. When the toe is finished, this is how the knitting looks. I have this boat-like shape growing here on the machine. Here's the heel, and then here's the bottom of the foot, and there's the toe. And I'm going to hang some weights from the back in this toe so that it's weighted all the way across. And then I'm going to make the top of the foot using a sew-as-you-go technique that is just like another sock that I did on the standard gauge machine. And other people have done these too. What I'm going to do is go to the opposite side from the carriage. So my carriage is on the right. I'm going to pick up a stitch on the left. I'm not picking up the stitch that's immediately below the one that is on the needle. I'm going down another stitch. Let me get in really close. I'm not picking up this stitch that is in the fold of the toe. I'm going down below this bump right here. See that bump? Going down below that to get the first loop. And I'm putting that on the needle. So it's a sew-as-you-go technique. Then I'm going to draw up the yarn so it isn't too loose and knit across right to left. And you see that placed sort of a stitch in there. Now I'm going to get the stitch on the right hand side of the knitting. Again, I don't want the stitch that's actually in the dent where the toe forms. I want the first loop below that. And I put that on the right hand needle, get them pushed back, tug the yarn a little, and work my way across. Now I need to get the next loop on the left. Now if we examine that, you will see that there's a loop here that is already attached to the needle up above. That's the loop not to get go. There's a bump. Get the next loop after that and put that on the leftmost needle. knit from right to left. And that attaches that. Then go to the right hand side and don't get the loop that's already caught. See, this one has already been caught by the machine. Come down again below the next bump and get the next loop. What I am going to do is I'm going to keep sewing up one side seam at a time, one loop at a time, as I knit the top of my foot. Since this is a bulky weight slipper, it goes extremely quickly. And if you did my other Sew As You Go sock, this will just be so simple for you. So I'm going to keep doing that and come back on camera when I have the top of the foot done up to the cuff. When you've knitted all the way back to the cuff using the Sew As You Go method, this is what it looks like. And it makes a very nice seam down the side of the foot. Let me show you on the completed one what that seam looks like. It's really a very usable, flat little seam. All I need to do now to get this ready to complete is cut the yarn, leaving a long enough end to Kitchener stitch it to the cuff, and get a little bit of my waste yarn and knit about 8 rows of waste yarn. I can remove the sock by knitting across once the waste yarn is cut. And here's the sock. Here's the slipper formed and put on my hand. And we're just going to need a Kitchener seam to join the cuff to the front of the foot. So that's our next step. With this slipper in my lap, here are 2 yarns that I'm going to work with. I can use this solid colored yarn later to do the mattress stitch seam in the cuff. And then I'm going to use this variegated thread that I just cut and left a little extra yarn to do the Kitchener stitch to join the cuff to the top of the foot. And I'm going to do Kitchener in the way that I always do, from the wrong side, going across, picking up the first loop, and then the first loop on this side, going to the second loop on the same side, and then across and using the first loop on the opposite side again, and then the second loop on the opposite side, and back and reuse the loop on this side. Now I've done these many times in my videos, so I don't want to spend too much time on it because the sock is a bit of a complicated project. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of the Kitchener off camera. Once that Kitchener seam is done, turn it inside out and remove the waste yarn. And finally, there is a mattress stitch seam to be done right here to join the cuff. Turn it inside out and hide my ends. So here's your pair of slippers.